When you talk about Porsche Classic, most people think of the parts and the hardware. But today we've got a special treat because we're here in Atlanta and we're gonna see the Porsche Classic Center. Come on in.
Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications by clicking on the bell icon and never miss a video. We've got lots of Porsche content coming your way.
Oh, Jonathan, thank you for letting us in. Well, here we are. Now the Porsche Classic Center has been here just not even a year.
January of 2023 we opened.
And so tell us a little about what goes on here.
Well, if you remember back in 2019 when we made the strategic decision to open up Porsche Classic as a strategic sub-brand in the US, we realized the commitment that we had. We had a forecast of 400,000 vehicles coming down the pipeline just in the classic car park in the United States. We knew that we had multiple models. We started with 15, then 16. We're currently at 18 models. So when we started looking at the complexity, we knew we needed to do something to really elevate our game so the ownership experience could be at the premium that we wanted. So when you look at luxury, when you look at, we won't say easy ownership, but easy enjoyment because you can keep the cars on the road, that was a foundation for us to say, all right, let's take a look at Classic and where do we go with it? And ultimately that led to the facility that we're in today.
And this is a model in a lot of ways also with your Classic Centers across the country. This is, I would say, where people will come and see the prime example of how it should be done.
Exactly. In designing the facility, even though we took customer journey as our main focus, we also wanted to bring elements that could carry over into every Porsche Center that's out there, as well as our Classic partners. So from when we walk in, if someone was actually going to open up a fully dedicated Classic Center, this is the experience you would see when you first walk in the door. Now we took that a step further because yes, we have elements of a Classic corner that you see in any current Classic partner with a vehicle, some of the different accents and the part wall. But where we took it to the next level for our customers is adding our fitting lounge, and we took a prototype for the Porsche Studio concept because the guests that we have come to us, we don't know. It could just be the owner of the vehicle, their entire family and friends. They could rent a plane and come in and bring their dog. So we wanted to be ready for anything. We didn't know, maybe they're going to pull their children out of school for the day, but they want them to do the schoolwork while they're going to the depths of the meeting and reviewing their car. So within the bar area and the studio area, we have charging, we have different types of seating. And again, everything is for really that customer journey and anticipating what they may want and need as we ultimately make their dream come true in designing their vehicle.
And this really follows in the theme that was unveiled at South by Southwest with full service, soup to nuts, everything you need from servicing the Classic 356 all the way up to the newest addition to your Classic portfolio.
Yeah, I think when you look at it across the board and we talk about full service, that was a great iteration for us to have from a brand and position this year because we look at the extensions that we made in 2022 and 2023, especially on the Classic front. We opened up the facility in Osberg January 2022. We opened up this facility in January 2023. So we were taking Classic full service to an entirely different level. And again, that's from ownership side, that's from an experience side, and that's what we're going to show you here today.
That's awesome. Now, normally when we talk about Classic parts, I started the video with the parts responsibility that you have, but today we're going to look at the center and show you some of the behind the scenes of what goes on here. So let me just put this back. The fitting lounge.
As I mentioned earlier, dreams. We are about dreams, and we talk about it. We showed it at the Sundervunch House at Rensport last year. You dream it, we build it. And this is where the dreams begin. So whether it's a factory restoration project, a Sundervunch one-off, could be a Sundervunch factory commission, all those discussions begin here. And they become with woods, materials, colors, stitching, all those patterns. But then we add in a unique flavor. So one of the things that we did with intent was we built in our video conferencing system in a very specific way. If you notice, you have the screen, you turn around, you have a glass wall. So what we wanted to do is, let's bring in our good friend Grant Larson on the screen. So Grant can share in the design development and other members of the team within Stuttgart or Osberg, and we can go out, we can talk about the car and have a fully integrated moment of design. And one of the things that happens is factory restoration, people think, I know my car, I know exactly what it was, but we continue to learn that when someone buys the car, if they're not original owner, things change, different restorations may happen. And so there's times that we need to say, you know what, you thought your car was black with a red interior, it was really red with this black interior, and we can show and say, this is what that palette is now going to look like together. So factory restoration actually has a moment where color and trim have a component as well. Sundervert's recommission, obviously that goes much, much further because you're taking all your different elements and saying, all right, what materials do I really want? Do I want to bring different stitch patterns? What do I want to do for contrast? So one of the things we wanted to do is create the opportunity. Right now, a lot of people say, you know what? I love exclusive manufacturer. I'm going to buy my 992, my Taycan, my Cayenne, and I'm going to customize it. Well, now we can do that for all your classic models as well, and we can make it just as new.
And I think for us, PCA's built a number of cars with Porsche, and we come to the table with roughly an idea. And Manny has always said, we don't know what you know, so sometimes it's better for you to lead us into helping us making those decisions.
That is a very interesting point, because one of the things that we've realized, and a very important part of this, is when you talk about dreams and you talk about something that someone's inspired to for so long, when we sit them down here for the first conversation and it's about to become real, anxiety sets in, not because they're excited, because, oh my gosh, is this what I really want? So we've actually built our system, and we build the experience path that there's self-discovery that takes place in that. And it's seeing how the materials and the colors overlap, but you had this vision, you had it drawn out, and we're going to come to you, as you mentioned, we're going to come to you and say, here's some options that we think from experience. You brought us A, we're going to show you B, we're going to resolve on C probably in the end. But sometimes it's 4 weeks, sometimes it's 6 weeks, sometimes it's 4 months before someone can really do that commitment.
It's a big commitment, yeah.
It's, you get hyped up to meet your favorite celebrity. You're building your own favorite celebrity in a way. And if you're like a lot of our customers, doesn't matter if you're male or female, a lot of them, they saw it in magazines, they had the poster on the wall. And to have that come to life is such a unique experience. And to do it at the factory level is something that is so special to people, and we don't want to rush them, and we want to make sure they're making the honest decisions for themselves, and they really commit to themselves that, yep, I'm actually able to do this, I'm really going to do this, and this is what I really, really want. Now, fortunately, some say, okay, I want to do it both ways, and they'll go buy another car and do it as well. But each journey is very unique, and we want to make sure we have an opportunity to explore all those opportunities for them, and give them an outlet to have that success and fulfill those dreams.
So 2 questions for you. One, how does one get to the table? But then 2, when you come to the table, do you already have to have the car, or can I come to the table and say, I wish I had a 964 Targa in this color, and then you would help them find all that?
So first and foremost, there's options to come straight to us. A lot of people get introduced to us, and it could be from PCA members that know us. They could see an ad that we run and contact us out of the blue. They may know a customer that's already come through here, or they can simply go to their Porsche Center and say, I really want to do something factory restoration. I really want to do with Sundervench. And those team members at the Porsche Centers will make that connection. Okay. The cars itself, so we do have a lot of people that say, I wish this and I wish I had a car. The process is a lot easier if you have your car already and what the donor is going to be. That doesn't mean that we're not going to engage in conversations. When you look at the different lead times and what the programs are, sometimes we'll say if you have a car by XYZ date, you can hold that spot. So it's not an instantaneously no if you don't have the car. And honestly, we have a client that we just signed up that we've been talking to for about 2 years. And he was looking for a very, very particular car and going to auctions all over the world and bidding and bidding and bidding and losing and losing and losing.
Oh no.
Finally, over in Europe recently, he was successful. Like I said, 2 cars. And we kept, the main thing is just keep the conversation ongoing. And it panned out for him eventually, and now we'll get the project underway.
So let's take a look at some of the projects that are underway on the other side of the glass. All right, Jonathan, did you stage this because the first car we see is a 959? Are you kidding me? Tell me this is...
Or it's just a normal day here at Porsche Classic.
It's just a normal day. Now, is this in for service or is it in for restoration? How did this car land here?
So one of the things that we do is we have factory restoration, we do Sunridge recommission here, we work with Germany for Sunridge one-off, so all the factory programs. We have mechanical restorations, and then we also support all the Porsche centers as well. So if they have an issue they can't resolve, they've got the ability to come and work with us. We also have customers that have different unique experiences and challenges that Porsche centers, independent shops, there's a unicorn happening inside the vehicle that someone may not be able to do, and after years and years and years, if we know that Porsche centers have looked at it and haven't been able to do it, ultimately we will bring the car in here to really say, okay, no one else has been able to do it, let's go figure out. So that's what's the situation with this particular 959 was a very, very unique power related situation that we were able to reverse engineer and debug. So, you know, this great car will get back on the road shortly.
I see it sitting on state-of-the-art Hunter alignment machine. It didn't just come in for an alignment.
No, much more than that.
I would assume that there's at least a minimum amount of work for it to be able to land in your garage.
But I would counter that with minimum amount of work means that all of our experts, and that can go from independent shops to our classic partners, have taken their best shot and not been able to solve whatever that unique situation is. And that's where our counterparts in Germany can come into play. At the end of the day, the goal is how do we keep the cars on the road? And we work together with everybody in the Porsche stratosphere to make that happen.
Damon, let's take a look at how clinical it is in the shop here. I mean, this rivals the floors of my kitchen. It's quite impressive. You've got everything from cabriolet, coupe, 356s. We're looking at G-body cars, new and old, and some cars that are being recommissioned that you wouldn't normally think were old enough to be recommissioned. Customers are deciding to make their unique cars even more unique.
I like to talk about Porsche passion because Porsche passion is very real. And when you start looking at it in the classic sense and the 18 models that we're responsible for, it starts taking on a new demeanor and a new tone. So even though you can look at incredible 996, 997 variants, there's people that they weren't the original owner, but they were still dreaming of that. And so they didn't get to buy it new. They didn't get to spec it in a way that they would have dreamt of and built it. So they have the opportunity. They can come and sure, it could be a 1,000-mile car or a 10,000-mile car that's 20, 30, 40 years old. But they're the second, third, fourth owner. And they're like, I want it new.
They can have the first owner experience now by going through
100%.
Yeah.
So you're going to you have the ability to get a 0 mileage car done by the factory, everything brand new on the car. So it's delivery day condition coming from the factory, here with Porsche in Atlanta. And we also have the opportunity because we have programs that we work with the team in Augsburg and in Zuffenhausen. We've got cars that we fully do over there. So every journey we have that discussion and say, what is the journey that you want and that your vehicle wants? There's certain models that we'll say, you know what, we only want to do that in Augsburg or Zuffenhausen for different reasons.
Yeah.
And there's some elements when we talk about things being rare that we might not want to duplicate the original tools and jigs.
Right.
So those will say we are only going to work on those original sets of frames, so that body is going to need to go to Augsburg to do that. Other ones, when we built the Augsburg facility and our facility, we looked at what were the core capacities we needed to have in both locations and where did we want to have specialties.
Okay.
So there's a lot that goes into the global support that we offer. And part of that is saying, if we're going to recommission a Carrera GT with a lot of the specialties that we have in Augsburg, why duplicate them? If we're going to do only 2 or 3 a year, let's make sure that resides only in Augsburg. Versus you can bring in different 996, 997 models for recommission. We will handle those 100%.
So while we're taking a walk down this aisleway here, you've got a huge responsibility of different model cars, knowledge base. Talk about the technicians that are in-house here.
Well, that almost starts outside of the workshop, and going back to why we built the facility is to be able to bring Classic in its entirety under one roof. When we were in One Porsche Drive, our team was actually in 3 different portions of the building. So our factory restoration team, our brand team, and our parts team weren't able to collaborate. So one of the things that we have here is having our parts business and our factoration business together. It allows us to really expedite part development. So Germany can come on, they can build a part, they can say, we have a lot of parts that are US spec specific. So during that development, they can send us here and our technicians can work on them. We can put it on cars, and we own our own fleet to help the development as well. So what we're doing here is helping product development, and one of the things that we see on the factory restoration side, we could determine, you know, during super sessions something may be off, and it could be a millimeter or 2. Different things have happened in the production cycle, and we have immediate feedback to the parts team, so we've got the ability to really make dynamic changes globally for Classic, because Osberg's doing the same thing that we're doing here. So when we talk about ownership journey, it's just not what we do here, but we're talking about the entire parts catalog and how we amplify that. But then you flip over just to the factory restoration side, and from the technical ability, as we grow our team, we've looked at it strategically because we've had excellent engine services, good body services, but we also have the responsibility of how do we develop the next generation of technicians that are going to work on the cars as well. So when we look at our senior technicians and our junior technicians, we have a lot of different specialties because of our specialty shops, which you'll see, but also general things like how do we simply assemble and disassemble a car. And we will have people that will come and go and rotate back into the field, and we want that to happen at the end of the day. And we're looking at development programs over the next 5 years to say, okay, we're going to keep the core here, but how do we get more excellence into the field? So I can
see the uniformity, because as I look at these trolleys and how you're kind of set up, it's very similar to what I see in Asperg. So when you're training these younger techs, you're teaching them sort of the way that it's been refined over decades.
100%. And one of the things that we did when we look at the operational side in Asperger here, we want to be aligned as closely as possible. Sure, their carts are blue, ours are red. It's one of the larger differences you're going to find. And that, I think, that consistency is really, really important to the owners and the passionate fans of Porsche.
Yeah, and passing along that knowledge to the next generation, right?
100%.
All right, so let's go to, there's a unique place in the back there that when you walk in, the essence of it all kind of hits you in the face.
As we talked about and you've seen in the past, never a dull moment. And that's the great thing with, you know, when our guests come, when our owners come, there's always something new. And that is, honestly, it's, as you know, I travel quite a bit. So even I come back and I look out my window and I'll see surprises. You know, one day walked out, had a 550 Spider, 3 Carrera GTs, 2 959s, you know, sitting in the first 6 bays outside my window.
Just another day at the office.
I won't complain, and another day. But one of the main things that we looked at in developing our journey was bringing as much in-house as possible to really, really make sure we controlled all elements of whether it's a factory restoration or a Sunderland's factory commission program. And part of that was building our own upholstery shop. So we've really worked on working with the team that we have in Osberg of what is the excellence, what are our standards, where do we need to go? And so this is where we are. So we have the ability to make sure that every car that we fully restore here, we can take care of that interior, whether it's an original design on the vehicle or a new custom design, that it's coming out of our hands, out of our facility where we control all aspect of the channel.
Now I really wish we had smell-o-vision, because the hides are, you just want to sit here and take it all in. But for what you can see are the incredibly unique colors, these hides. Now, are these the same exact hides that we would find in the saddlery shop back at Porsche?
So most of them, yes. So we work with common suppliers, and sometimes it may be the exact supplier coming out of their facilities in Germany. Some it may be the US-based arm of that supplier.
Okay.
Sometimes in all center bunch, we have to go and create an extension of a material because the owner wants something so unique in a color or a specific material. We still
A material that they haven't even sourced.
yeah, and those are the things that's where timing comes into play, because making sure it meets all of our requirements, any other requirements for automotive use, that comes into play. But the majority of what you see is one-to-one to what we utilize in our facilities in Germany.
Now, the folks that are in this room working day in and day out, do they start by going to Germany to be trained, or does Germany come to them? How does that work?
It depends on what their background is and where they came from. And one of the things that we're very fortunate is we can take any of our specialists and send them over to spend time in Germany, but we also have elements like the Tech Live look where we can work virtually with them. And people like to think that, well, that's just very for mechanical things, and it's actually not, because we can use that technology across, and it could say, okay, yes, it started with we want to be able to enhance what's happening in the Porsche centers and technician talking to technician. But we've got the ability, because of technologies in Osberg and here, and say, hey, I'm having difficulty with the stitch pattern, and they can call us, we can call them, and we can go to the sewing machines, which are the same, and say, have you tried this setting? Have you done? So there's a
Next
lot
best
of
thing to actually being there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, you know, like I said, we still have the ability, you know, to go and we have people at time, and it could be to debug a software situation. It could be, hey, we stumbled upon something new of how we want to do this going forward. So the working relationship, and we have conversations between our workshop management here and the workshop management in Osberg at least 4 days a week. So that's how unified our organization is. So it is, yes, they have theirs, we have ours, but it is collectively one unit.
Let's take a look at the state-of-the-art equipment they have on this other side here. Now, at the grand opening, in this box was, I believe, Mirage. Oh, Mirage was in the paint booth.
Mirage was in the paint booth.
Mirage was in the paint booth, and this looks like a disassembly room, which can get a bit messy at times, so you can put down the doors and contain all that.
Yeah, so one of the other parts that we wanted to make sure we took care of in launching the new facility was having a body shop as well. We were in the position when we had only the 2 dedicated bays at One Porsche Drive that anything of this magnitude, we had to ship back to Germany. Yes, as I mentioned earlier, there's certain models that we don't want to replicate certain tools and jigs, so those will always go. But there's more general items that we can do in levels that make sense to happen here in Atlanta. So developing our own body shop was a critical component for timing and to relieve some of the stress on the facility in Osberg.
And I would think it would also help perhaps cost-wise to the consumer, because now the vehicle doesn't have to go back and forth.
It's not the most inexpensive thing to fly cars back and forth.
Fly.
Absolutely.
Not even boat them over, but to fly them back and forth.
These cars deserve the best. They're going to fly.
They only fly.
But no, I mean, that's, you know, is it part of it? Sometimes.
Yeah.
But the reality is sometimes we have to have a customer and say, we took the car apart, we want to show you, and it's great to be able to say, they're going to fly on down, and let's walk them through what's happening. So that is a very unique...
This is not as solid as you thought, and we're going to have to do a lot of metal work.
Yes.
Okay.
And when, you know, as the process goes... Yeah, exactly.
Case in point.
So as the process goes on, when we first develop a program and develop an estimate of what this is going to be, the car isn't taken apart. So you go through 3 different quote iterations, with the third one being when we have the car completely stripped down. And that's where we have to come back and say, this is going to be another X number of thousands of dollars. We want to make sure it's fully understood. So that's one of the big advantages of having this here, is this is where the depth really happens, because we can look at the body side, we can talk, you know, if you're getting to this, you're pulling all electrical out. So you can talk to those things in a much deeper level and with very clear touch, feel, understanding. And that just helps the process go on.
Makes sense to me. Let's go next door. More artistry in the building, and the lights are off, but this is where the paint is applied.
Yeah, and you know, having paint here, this is really a playground in with of itself. So we actually have customers that they like to follow what's going on, but then it becomes painting day, and that's when they want to come see that level of transformation happen. And to have customers and see their faces as they just stand here and they look in the window, and that's such a unique point of it's becoming real.
Right.
And as you see from the different colors we have around the facility, it's dynamic. It's extremely, extremely passionate as far as the moment.
What you did with this is you captured what we experienced when we were in Stuttgart with the PCA Club Coupe and the Club Blau color. So they actually took us to the line, and we talked about it. We saw renderings of the car, but when we saw that spray nozzle shoot Club Blau across the car, that feeling that you were just talking about for your customer, that's what we experienced, and that's what you've replicated here. Oh boy. So storage area is key for when you're working on all these cars and keeping things in order, not losing things.
Yeah, I mean, cataloging parts, and there's a science, there's a very big skill to disassembly to make sure that you're going to be able to put it back together. And that's something that we take a lot of time to find the right personnel to help manage that. And again, we have the similarity of how we manage the part storage. Some of these cars are here for a year plus, so storage and containment and organization is at a premium. And again, that is always a lesson learned that we share with Germany especially as we bring on new models. And it's one thing when it was 356s, but now having 996, 997s, we've done work in Cayennes. That's changed the game a little bit for us, and we continue to adapt and grow. So
it's hard to think that a fraction of what you're doing now used to do in like a 3-bay area at the original building.
Yeah, when you think about it, and the old building, we had 2 dedicated bays for factory restoration. We had 5 work bays in total to take care of factory restoration, the fleet cars for here in Atlanta, and new vehicle delivery for Atlanta. So we had all that business, and then we come in here and we've got 14 bays, paint, body, our engine unit room. If you multiplied that by 2, that was the entire workshop space that we had at One Porsche Drive. So
wow, just your engine room.
That's a small component of what we do here, which again, when we talk about the commitment to the owners, that's what this entire facility is about. When you take Classic and say, as I mentioned, we're on a roadmap to 400,000 vehicles that we're responsible for. And that will be 36%, an estimated 36% of all vehicles registered for road use in the United States will be Classic. So you think about that 1 out of every 3 that we have on the road is a Classic. So right now we have 315,000 that we're responsible for. So that is, and this facility is that commitment that not just Porsche Cars North America, but Porsche globally made for our owners. And as I mentioned, what we do here, it's not just factory restoration, it's not just under bunch, but it's part development. It's creating the catalog, it's working through and having our parts team, the parts development team, the technicians working hand in hand to enhance that ownership journey.
So that's a huge responsibility, but somehow you found time to help out Hollywood.
The brand, the brand, no doubt, has continued to grow on our side.
Yeah.
So we are a strategic sub-brand within Classic, and but we are part of the bigger brand. So opportunities that we have, such as Transformers and Mirage. So people love the movie, they love the car. So we actually restored 2 of the movie cars, and we've had them at great events.
How many movie cars were there total? Can you say?
6.
6. So you had to build 6 of them.
No, studios built 6.
Oh, okay.
We brought 2 back to life.
Ah, okay,
And
gotcha.
so one of them, fortunately, we were honored to win 2nd place with that at Works Reunion West last year. So it's great for the fans, and I think one of the things that we do is you see it sitting here in our vault. Is when our owners come in, they realize how special their projects are because
Sitting
they'll say,
alongside Mirage.
Here's a movie star that's sitting here.
And here's my car.
Exactly, 100%. So I think that really helps put in perspective what our owners and their vehicles mean to us.
And this aisle is such a great display of your range, right? We're looking at G-body cars, we're looking at 997s, we're looking at long hoods, and a shell of a 356.
Well, I think you nailed it on the head here that we can go from early 70s to 356 to a 959, and all within 15 feet of each other.
And can we just take a peek at that car over there? Because, I mean, I heard these cars were rare, and we'll keep the identities of the cars unknown, but yeah, there's just 3 Carrera GTs and 1 Carrera GT in a very unique color. Again, all under your stewardship to maintain and keep on the road.
And I apologize that the 4th one just left.
Oh, really? There was one earlier?
So, yeah, we did have a 4th one, which was another finished recommission project, Sunroad's recommission project that was here. So 2 are getting ready to leave. 2 we had just gotten back. So you almost got to see all 4.
Well, Jonathan, thank you so much for showing us your crib. I was here for the grand opening, and it was a much different environment because it was more of a party atmosphere. I could kind of see how it all works, but to see it in its daily working operational mode is quite a treat, so thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Thank you.